Why does Mike Tyson win this fight? Because I'm Mike Tyson. When I take this man out, it will go down as one of the most iconic moments in boxing history. This isn't going to be an easy night for him, even if he thinks it will be. When the ultimate disruptor steps in against the baddest man on the planet, there's a good chance someone's going to get knocked out once again. You know this is going to be huge. And make no mistake, this isn't just some 27-year-old like Jake Paul. When the fight happens, sure, there'll be a bit of bittersweetness because I've got love for him. But right now, it's war. Jake Paul and Mike Tyson have just had a fiery face-off, setting the stage for what could be one of the most electrifying bouts boxing has seen in years. In less than 2 days, these two opposites will collide in a Netflix-backed boxing mega-event. The excitement is palpable, with fans and critics eagerly waiting to find out if the YouTube sensation can truly hold his ground against the former heavyweight champion, or if Tyson's legacy and raw power will be too much for Paul to handle. As Tyson prepares for the fight, he had just a few words for Jake. "I'm ready. I'm ready. Let's go, Jake. The day's here. Let's get it." He's pumped for what's coming, with an action-packed undercard, incredible production, and a massive crowd expected at the biggest venue on the biggest platform. This is a spectacle like no other, an unforgettable night of fights that will leave everyone talking. This Friday, the showdown will be live on Netflix, and there are only a limited number of seats available on SeatGeek. This fight is the perfect mix of traditional boxing legacy and the new wave of social media hype. It's part of the growing trend of matching internet stars against seasoned pros, and it's got everyone buzzing. In their final face-to-face meeting before the gloves come on, it was clear that neither Tyson nor Paul was holding back with their words. Tyson, who retired from professional boxing in 2005, reflected on how much the sport has changed and how unique this fight truly is. He pointed out that boxing had never seen anything quite like this. A historic event that blends the old school with the new, creating an experience like no other. "I believe this is going to be great," Tyson added. Boxing fans may already be betting on his victory, but Tyson wasn't just being nostalgic. He was radiating a quiet, raw confidence that seemed unshakable. Even though he's been away from the sport for years, Tyson made it clear that stepping back into the ring wasn't about anything other than winning. For him, there's no room for doubt. He's Mike Tyson, and that name alone is enough to strike fear into the heart of anyone. When he thought about his legacy, Tyson shrugged it off with brutal honesty. He wasn't concerned with how history would remember him. In the end, as he pointed out, that legacy is irrelevant. It's all about the fight in front of him. And if there's one thing that hasn't changed about Tyson, it's that relentless, almost primal drive to dominate, no matter who stands across from him in the ring. As for Jake Paul, he's ready to prove himself again. He's well aware that the boxing world hasn't always been kind to him, but Paul is walking into this fight with a solid belief in his own abilities. He might be facing a living legend, but that's not stopping him from coming in with his head held high. Despite calling Tyson the baddest man on the planet, Paul is confident in his own capacity to do the impossible. Sure, Tyson's intimidating physique and reputation for annihilation have crossed Paul's mind, especially when scrolling through those daunting Instagram photos. But for Jake, this fight isn't about being scared. It's about showing that he can defy the odds. This is the essence of Jake Paul's brand, defying expectations and pushing into the realm of the unimaginable. Man, he's a legend. You know, this is the guy, the one of the two most famous boxers to ever live, him and Muhammad Ali. To be here, to fight him, it feels like a dream come true. I'm so inspired by Mike, by his story, and everything he's overcome. To share the ring with such a legend, that's a special moment for me. For me, this is historic. And the fact that we're doing it with Netflix makes it the biggest fight of the century. That's what I love to do. Make history, have fun, and go to war. Back in August, their last face-off took an unexpected turn. Tyson landed a playful punch on Paul as they stood face-to-face, followed by a little shove. Paul, unfazed, fired one right back. The brief scuffle had the crowd buzzing, amplifying the already growing anticipation for what promises to be an explosive showdown. Both fighters seem to understand that while they're stepping into the ring with the spirit of competition, it's all about business. No love, no hate, just two warriors preparing for one night and a massive payday. Originally scheduled for July, the fight was delayed after Tyson's health scare. Now fully recovered, the former champ is ready to go, and so is Paul. The two will meet at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas, the massive home of the Dallas Cowboys, capable of holding a staggering 80,000 fans. All eyes will be on that ring as Tyson and Paul, two fighters from entirely different worlds, come together for what could be one of the most talked about fights of the year. This all started with an idea, a vision I had when I saw what was happening and the ripple effect it would have, how every kid going into the gym the next day would want to be like me or Mike. With 700 million people watching on Netflix, the impact this will have on the sport is beyond anything we can imagine, Paul said. Mike Tyson, the legendary boxer from New York City, has been hailed as one of the greatest heavyweights in boxing history. In the late 80s, he became a global sensation, making history as the youngest heavyweight champion at just 20 years old. Known as Iron Mike, Tyson's fierce, unrelenting fighting style made him a force to be reckoned with, and his presence in the ring was unforgettable. From 1987 to 1990, he dominated the boxing world as the undisputed heavyweight champion, holding onto his title with unmatched power and skill. But Tyson's life outside the ring was as turbulent as his career inside it. His journey has been one of both triumph and turmoil, marked by personal struggles, multiple convictions, and time spent in prison. Despite these setbacks, Tyson returned to the ring in 1996, reclaiming his championship belts and proving his resilience. However, his infamous rematch with Evander Holyfield in 1997 would change the course of his career. During that fight, Tyson made headlines for biting Holyfield's ear twice, leading to his disqualification and the revocation of his boxing license. Tyson's final title fight came in 2002, where he faced Lennox Lewis, who knocked him out in the 8th round. After a few more bouts and ongoing financial difficulties, Tyson retired from boxing in 2005, seemingly bringing an end to his legendary career. But now, years later, Tyson is making a comeback. This time, however, his opponent isn't a seasoned heavyweight boxer, but rather someone from an entirely different world, Jake Paul, a social media star turned fighter. This match is something entirely unique, an event that boxing has never seen in its 250-year history and likely will never see again. So Mike, let me ask you this. What does it say about you if you knock out a 27-year-old Jake Paul? Mike Tyson has just knocked out another opponent, and you can feel the intensity building up for what's next. This fight is going to be massive. But here's the twist. It's not just some 27-year-old like Jake Paul, the YouTuber turned boxer, stepping into the ring. No, this is a battle with one of the most iconic and feared figures in boxing history. Tyson himself has acknowledged Jake Paul's progress in the sport. He's genuinely impressed with how the younger fighter has grown and dedicated himself to boxing. When the fight was first announced, Tyson admitted he was intrigued by the idea of going up against someone 31 years his junior. Tyson even said he was curious to see how the ambition of a young man like Paul could stack up against the experience and skill of a true boxing legend. "Are you mad, facing off against Iron Mike Tyson?" someone asked Paul. Paul responded, "I mean, he's fit. Sure, he's 100. But he looks good. Yeah, man, he's looking really, really good. I'm definitely a little bit crazy, and I'm definitely a little bit scared. You know, this is the fight I've waited for. It's against the most experienced opponent I've faced, and it's in the heavyweight division, with Tyson coming in." According to his coaches, Tyson has been looking in the best shape and strongest form of his career. The hype is real. Paul knows that when they step into the ring on November 15th, it's going to be a battle like no other. But Jake's confidence is unshaken. "I just plan on outboxing him, showing the world what I'm capable of, coming alive in the moment, and knocking out one of the best to ever do it," he says. The question looms large. I know, but it's got to be kind of a funny one for you, because he is the best ever. But also, he's getting on a little bit. Do you lose if you win? The pressure is on Jake Paul to prove he belongs in this ring with a living legend. And if he pulls it off, it could be the biggest moment of his career. But if he loses, it's just another notch in Tyson's legendary belt. Either way, the stakes have never been higher. Jake Paul has heard the critics, people questioning his decision to face off against Mike Tyson, asking why he'd step into the ring with a legend like Tyson, who's decades older than him. Even if you beat him, they're going to say, "Oh, he was old," they say. But Jake's answer is clear. Mike Tyson wanted to fight me. That is an honor. He's one of the most famous boxers in the world, alongside Muhammad Ali. To step in there with someone of his stature is a dream come true. And it's going to be a spectacle on Netflix, with 700 million people watching. Dallas, Texas, AT&T Stadium. You know it's going to be one of the most entertaining nights the sport has ever seen? Despite the bravado, Jake knows what he's up against. Tyson's history and reputation precede him, and it's clear this is no simple fight. The question is, has Tyson bitten off more than he can chew by facing Jake Paul? Jake's response is confident. 100%. People think I'm just this nice, crazy, smiley social media guy. But I'm a killer. This is what I was bred to do. This is my destiny. On November 15th, I will stop him and become the face of boxing. Whether people love it or hate it, they're going to have to accept it because I was born to do this. I will be world champion, and I will go down in the Boxing Hall of Fame as one of the greatest. For Jake, this fight is more than just another challenge. It's the culmination of years of work in the ring. He made his debut in 2018, starting with a celebrity match, and just 2 years later, he went pro. Since then, he's been on a mission to prove himself, including a high-profile first-round knockout of Ben Askren in 2021. Even his loss to Tommy Fury, the younger brother of Tyson Fury, hasn't shaken his confidence. In fact, it seems to have only fueled his fire. "I'm here to prove I belong," Jake says. "I'm going to take down one of the greatest and solidify my place in boxing history." Whether Tyson sees him as a serious threat or not, Jake Paul is determined to turn this fight into a defining moment for his career. And if he can pull it off, he'll have the world's attention like never before. Jake Paul knows the stakes. At 27, the Ohio native is fully aware he's stepping into the ring with a living legend. Despite his respect for Mike Tyson, Paul hasn't been shy about his intentions. When the fight was rescheduled after Tyson's health issues, Paul cheekily remarked that he supported the delay, making sure Tyson wouldn't have any excuses when the bell rang. "Man, this is just my time," Paul says. "You know, the gods have shown this to me. I'm going to be faster, stronger, and more elusive. He's not going to know where I'm coming from, and I have great imagination. I'm truly going to show the world that I outboxed Mike Tyson, and that's wild to say." Paul's boxing journey has been nothing short of a spectacle, marked by a series of unexpected twists. Starting with influencer bouts, Paul quickly evolved, stepping up to face professional athletes and MMA fighters. But it wasn't until his fight against Tommy Fury, Tyson Fury's younger brother, in early 2023 that Paul truly met his match in a real boxer. The split decision loss to Fury was his first major setback, but instead of backing down, Paul took it as a challenge to climb back to the top. Since then, he's secured wins over Nate Diaz, Andre August, and Ryan Borland, all by first-round knockout. Now, his sights are set on Tyson, the ultimate test. For Paul, this is more than just another fight. It's the culmination of years of dreaming, manifesting, and working. "I've dreamt this, manifested it, and it'll be the start of what has been a 12-year career for me in entertainment, acting, and all the things I've done. Now transitioning into boxing. This is finally my moment, my time to shine, and I'm going to show the world." In his words, it's not just about boxing. It's about proving the doubters wrong. Who they for I am, because everyone's doubted me, everyone's had something to say. Nothing was ever given to me. I've had to work for it all, suppressed by everyone, kicked off of YouTube, kicked off of platforms, canceled 5 times, and here I am throwing the biggest event in all of entertainment. And now, it shows the rest of the world what hard work and perseverance can do. I'm just happy to be able to show that to other kids who may have to go through adversity, who have to fight and keep proving themselves time and time again. This fight, for Jake Paul, is more than a chance to prove his skills in the ring. It's a moment to show the world what he's made of, to silence the naysayers, and to inspire others who are struggling to keep pushing forward. As the date draws closer, all eyes will be on the colossal showdown between Paul and Tyson. 2 fighters, 2 worlds, in one night that will define both of their legacies. It's clear Jake Paul is brimming with confidence. And it's not without reason. The 27-year-old has made a name for himself by defying expectations at every turn. And he's made it clear that he believes he'll knock out the 58-year-old Mike Tyson. His bold claim speaks to the unwavering self-belief that has been central to his rise in the boxing world. This is the baddest man on the planet, heavyweight champion, Paul says, nodding to Tyson's legacy. I get a little scared when I see how good he looks on Instagram, but I have to step up and show people I can accomplish the impossible. That's what my story is all about. While the fight was originally set for July, Tyson's health issues led to a postponement. Despite that, Paul didn't slow down. Instead, he kept his momentum going, taking on Mike Perry in a bare-knuckle bout and scoring another knockout. As the months passed, the anticipation for a showdown between Paul and Tyson continued to build. And as usual, Paul kept talking, touting his own intentions to be the one who knocks out one of boxing's most iconic legends. But let's be real here. While Paul's confidence is undeniable, a dose of reality is needed. Tyson at 58 is not the same fighter he was in his prime, and the rules of this bout seem designed to take the edge off. With 14-ounce gloves, as opposed to the usual 10 ounces, and 2-minute rounds instead of the standard 3-minute ones, the conditions suggest a fight that's more forgiving. Tyson's conditioning, though still admirable, won't truly be tested in a way that would push him to his limits, and those shorter rounds provide plenty of opportunities for both fighters to regroup if needed. Yes, Paul's recent victories over Andre August, Ryan Borland, and Mike Perry have earned him recognition, but none of these opponents were world-class fighters. His closest comparison to Tyson would likely be his bout with Anderson Silva, a match that, despite being between two aging fighters, didn't live up to the hype and felt more like a sparring session than a true contest. When it comes to Tyson, Paul may be the quicker, younger fighter, and he might land some solid offense, but it's hard to imagine Tyson hitting the mat. This fight is almost certainly going to play out as more of an exhibition match than anything else. Tyson, despite being a shell of his former self, still commands a level of respect. His status as the youngest heavyweight champion in history and his fierce persona remain etched in boxing history. But even at 58, it's undeniable that time has altered Tyson's once terrifying power. The fire, while still present, is no longer as fierce. And in that sense, while Paul will likely look to outpoint Tyson, it's unlikely that Tyson's going to be knocked out in this fight. Instead, expect Paul to use his speed and youth to stay ahead on points, while Tyson's heart and legendary status will remain intact. Ultimately, the Tyson-Paul bout is shaping up to be less about a high-stakes championship fight and more about spectacle and legacy. For Paul, it's an opportunity to add another chapter to his story of defying the odds. For Tyson, it's a chance to show that even in his later years, he still has the respect and power that made him a legend. Whether or not Paul can truly knock out Iron Mike remains to be seen, but one thing is certain. This fight will be a spectacle, a clash of eras, with Paul aiming to cement his place in boxing history. This Tyson-Paul fight has undoubtedly ignited heated debates. Many view it as a freak show, a spectacle designed more for entertainment and profit than for the integrity of boxing. Critics argue that it's a potential health risk for Tyson, a fighter past his prime, and a sign of boxing's growing degradation into a form of spectacle where the focus shifts away from athletic prowess and towards financial gain. However, at its heart, this fight is ultimately about drawing attention and money. It's a big money event, a product designed for an audience, not necessarily for sports purists. Tyson, despite the criticism, seems at peace with his decision to step into the ring. "I'm tougher than I believed I was," Tyson confessed. "When I agreed to this fight and I started training, I asked myself, what the heck am I taking on? But now, having finished the process, the fight's the party. All the hard work I've done, and now I have all these fans here. The number of people I've reached, broadcasting worldwide with 282 million subscribers. This is possibly the biggest live crowd I've ever fought in front of." For Tyson, this moment is about much more than just the fight. It's about family and legacy. He spoke fondly of his loved ones being present. "Family is everything," he said. "But my kids, to them, I'm nobody." But that night, they're going to find out their father is very special. With a chuckle, he added that his nieces, who often tease him, will finally realize the gravity of his place in the world when they see him fight. They better be watching, he said. It's clear that Tyson sees this as a personal milestone, a moment to prove his worth not just in the ring but in the eyes of his family as well. Yet, for all the emotional weight Tyson carries, the unpredictability remains. What if, just for a moment, Tyson finds that spark of his former self? What if he lands a blow so clean that it sends Paul reeling? The thought of a knockout is tantalizing. Imagine Tyson's 45th career stoppage on his 51st win. It's a scenario that would elevate this fight from a spectacle to a legend-defining moment. The narrative is a familiar one. The old lion, Tyson, against the young wolf, Paul. And with thousands of fans at AT&T Stadium and millions more watching worldwide via Netflix, this fight is being framed as an event more significant than just a boxing match. The build-up has been filled with clips of Tyson showing brief, powerful flashes of his old self, his raw ferocity for 2 or 3 seconds at a time. Those glimpses remind us that Tyson, despite his age, still possesses that undeniable presence in the ring. While Paul has done everything he can to make this a fight about his destiny and his place in the boxing world, Tyson is showing that there's still more to him than meets the eye. Whether or not he can truly defy the odds and pull off a win, or if Paul's youth and speed will carry him through, remains to be seen. But one thing is for sure, this fight will be a spectacle that keeps fans on the edge of their seats, eagerly awaiting the clash between the young upstart and the aging icon. The question of whether a loss to Jake Paul would damage Mike Tyson's legacy is a complex one. Tyson, despite his age, is still regarded as one of the most dominant forces in boxing history, known for his brutal knockout power and ferocity in the ring. His 2020 exhibition against Roy Jones Jr. showed that, while he may be slower than in his prime, he still possesses a considerable amount of skill and presence. But now, facing Paul, who has made a name for himself through a mix of showmanship and controversial matchups, the stakes are different. For Tyson, this fight could be one of his final outings in the ring, and while many have questioned the legitimacy of such matchups, there's no denying that his iconic status remains. A loss to Paul, particularly if it's a lopsided defeat, could add a strange wrinkle to Tyson's legacy. The former heavyweight champion has built a reputation over decades as one of the most feared boxers in history, and being bested by a social media star-turned-boxer could be seen as a tarnish on that record. However, given Tyson's age, a loss wouldn't completely diminish his impact or rewrite history. His dominance in the late 1980s and early 90s has earned him a place in the sports annals that no single fight can erase. For Paul, the win could be transformative. His record of 10-1 is far from impeccable, but a victory over Tyson would bolster his claim to legitimacy in the boxing world, especially after his loss to Tommy Fury. Despite his brash self-promotion and history of fighting non-boxers, a win over Tyson, an undeniable legend, would elevate Paul's status far beyond the influencer and YouTuber persona he once embraced. It would prove that his boxing career isn't just a series of celebrity spectacle matches, but a serious pursuit of greatness. As for the rules of the fight, the Texas Commission has put in place measures to reduce the risks. The decision to shorten the rounds to 2 minutes and increase the gloves to 14 ounces is clearly aimed at mitigating potential damage, especially given Tyson's age. While the larger gloves and shorter rounds may protect Tyson to an extent, the unpredictability of a fight like this still looms large. Tyson has a wealth of experience and has been in the gym preparing, but whether that will be enough against Paul's speed and youthful energy remains to be seen. Ultimately, whether or not a loss to Jake Paul damages Tyson's legacy is subjective. For purists, any loss to someone with less experience might feel like a slap in the face to Tyson's legacy. But for others, Tyson's incredible past achievements will always outweigh a single loss to a younger, less experienced fighter. Regardless of the outcome, Tyson's place in history is secure. It's just that, in a sport like boxing, the narrative of victory and defeat often takes on new dimensions when two very different kinds of fighters, one a legend, the other an upstart, face off. As the countdown to fight night continues, the stakes couldn't be higher. Tyson's defiance in the face of Paul's brash confidence only heightens the tension, and Paul's relentless self-belief only adds fuel to the fire. Tyson's unyielding dismissal of legacy and focus on the present contrasts sharply with Paul's eager anticipation of what a victory over a legend could mean for his own career. It's a clash not only of boxing styles but of attitudes. One a seasoned veteran who's seen it all, and the other a young upstart with the hunger to make history. Tyson, who has lived through the highs and lows of his own legendary career, refuses to indulge in the idea of legacy. His dismissal of the concept suggests that he's fighting for the pure thrill of it, not to prove anything to anyone. But Paul, always the showman, sees this as his chance to solidify his place in the sport. He's confident that his time has come, that everything has aligned for him to do what many thought impossible, to knock out Mike Tyson. As the clock ticks down to the fight, fans are on the edge of their seats. Will Tyson's experience be enough to overcome the raw determination and speed of Paul? Or will the younger fighter manage to pull off what some are calling the biggest upset in boxing history? The matchup may not be for the purists, but in this strange, spectacle-driven world of boxing, it has become an event that fans simply can't look away from. As the fighters square off in the ring, every jab, every punch, every move could alter the trajectory of both men's careers. For Tyson, it's about proving that he still has the heart of a champion, while for Paul, it's about proving that his self-made path to boxing legitimacy wasn't just a fluke. The night promises to be full of drama, with uncertainty and excitement hanging in the air. It may not be the fight that traditionalists were hoping for, but in the unpredictable world of boxing, it's exactly what people want to see. As always, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the latest updates. Thanks for watching, and let the countdown to fight night begin.